Dougal, look.
I am Chinese, if you please.
Come on, Dougal, lighten up.
For millions, the sitcom Father Ted is a source of pure, unadulterated joy, a surreal and slapstick masterpiece that defined a generation of Irish humor. Its legacy is one of laughter, absurdity, and iconic characters who feel like old friends. But behind the scenes of Craggy Island, a shadow hangs over the show's triumphant conclusion, a story marked by a shocking tragedy and an almost unbelievable pattern of fate. At the heart of the story are Dermot Morgan, the brilliant actor who played Father Ted Crilly, and Frank Kelly, the veteran who embodied the profane and chaotic Father Jack Hackett. No one knew that the show's final wrap party was not an ending, but the beginning of a bizarre and heartbreaking story that would take nearly 2 decades to complete. The Unlikely Saint, Dermot Morgan's rebellious rise. Long before he donned the clerical collar of Father Ted, Dermot Morgan was a teacher armed with a degree in English and philosophy from University College Dublin. This intellectual foundation was the bedrock of a comedic mind that was less interested in simple punchlines and more focused on sharp, cutting satire. His first major television character, years before Father Ted, was a priest named Father Trendy on the RTE show The Live Mic. This hippie priest, with his leather jacket and Elvis-style haircut, was Morgan's opening salvo in a career-long crusade of satirizing the Catholic Church, an institution he once considered joining before becoming a staunch atheist. This rebellious streak defined his career. He was a fearless truth-teller who constantly clashed with Ireland's state broadcaster RTE. His wildly popular radio show, Scrap Saturday, lampooned the country's political and business establishment with such ferocity that its eventual cancellation sparked a national outcry. Morgan publicly blasted the decision, calling it a shameless act of broadcasting cowardice and political subservience. He was an outsider who had to fight for every inch of creative freedom, a man whose ambition and drive were fueled by a palpable need to prove the establishment wrong. His friends and colleagues saw this relentless energy up close, a brilliant mind that seemed to burn brighter than anyone else's. Frank Kelly, who would later share the screen with him on Craggy Island, perfectly captured his essence. Quote, Dermot's mind was mercurial. I think he was kind of a comedic meteor. He burned himself out. This comedic meteor was on a collision course with international fame, a destiny that seemed pre-written by his years of deconstructing the very figures he would one day portray. But while his star was rising with explosive speed, another, more seasoned performer was on a steady, decades-long journey that would eventually lead him to the same remote, rain-swept island. The veteran rogue, Frank Kelly's path to Craggy Island. While Dermot Morgan was the fiery upstart, Frank Kelly was the consummate professional, a cornerstone of Irish entertainment for a generation. Born into a legacy of the arts, his father was a famous cartoonist and founder of the satirical magazine Dublin Opinion, Kelly's path was one of incredible versatility. Before he ever uttered Father Jack's iconic 4-word vocabulary, he was already a household name in Ireland. His career was a masterclass in longevity, spanning every conceivable medium. He was a beloved children's television star on Wanderley Wagon, a sharp political satirist on Hall's Pictorial Weekly, and a radio personality on The Glen Abbey Show. His work ethic was legendary. He took an uncredited role as a prison officer in the 1969 classic The Italian Job, sharing the screen with Michael Caine before his career in Ireland had even peaked. The sheer breadth of his work before Father Ted illustrates the differences in their paths. Kelly was the marathon runner, building a formidable and diverse body of work over decades, while Morgan was the sprinter, burning with intense, focused energy. This dedication to his craft would define his entire life, a professional determination that he would carry through even in the face of immense personal challenges decades later. When diagnosed with Parkinson's disease late in life, his response was a testament to his unyielding spirit. Quote, I've been working as an actor for over 50 years, and a shaky hand certainly won't stop me. I remain open to offers for work on stage and screen. I'm quite available, and my mobile is always on. Little did anyone know that when the creators of a new sitcom brought these two talents together, the rebellious meteor and the seasoned veteran, their collaboration would seal their legacies together in the most tragic and unbelievable way. The final curtain. Despite Father Ted launching him into international stardom, Dermot Morgan was adamant that the third series would be his last. He was terrified of being typecast as the bumbling priest for the rest of his life, and was already planning his next chapter. He had just finished a film script, signed a deal for a new sitcom about two retired footballers, and was commissioned to write a drama series for the BBC. He died not at the beginning of his great success, but at the very moment he was about to escape it and redefine himself. The final days of filming were fraught with a tension no one could quite name. Colleagues noted he seemed exhausted and unfocused, and a mandatory medical exam had revealed he had high blood pressure. During the last week, he privately complained of heart palpitations. On February 27, 1998, filming on the final episode of Father Ted wrapped. The next night, Morgan was at his London home hosting a celebratory dinner party to mark the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. The setting was brutally ironic. He was surrounded by friends, celebrating the future he had fought so hard to create. But as the evening wound down, he began to feel unwell. His sister Denise was with him in those confusing final moments, later recounting the tragedy with devastating clarity. Quote, "He wasn't feeling great at the end of the meal, and I went to the bedroom with him. He had a heart attack, and I didn't recognize it. I said to him, 'I think you're okay,' and we went back to the table. He apologized for having left the room, and the next thing, he just collapsed." Paramedics rushed to the scene, but it was too late. Dermot Morgan was pronounced dead from a massive heart attack. He was only 45. The news sent shockwaves through Ireland and the UK. A comedic genius was gone, his vast potential unlocked, but tragically unfulfilled. For 18 years, this would be the sole tragedy that defined the end of Father Ted. But fate, it turned out, had a bizarre and symmetrical postscript yet to write. The unbelievable echo. In the years following Dermot's death, Frank Kelly continued to do what he'd always done. He worked. He took on roles in the Irish soap Glenroe, the film Evelyn alongside Pierce Brosnan, and even had a stint on the popular British soap Emmerdale. He remained a beloved and constant presence on screen, the enduring professional carrying on. But behind his steadfast commitment to his craft, he was fighting his own quiet battles. He survived a bout of bowel cancer in 2011 and was treated for skin cancer in 2014. Then, in November 2015, he publicly announced he'd been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. His resilience was remarkable, but his long and storied career was clearly entering its final act. In late February 2016, news broke that the legendary actor had passed away at age 77. Tributes poured in for a man who had entertained a nation for over half a century. But as the initial sadness settled, a strange and almost unbelievable detail began to emerge. Frank Kelly died on February 28, 2016, exactly 18 years to the day after Dermot Morgan. The coincidence was so staggering it felt scripted, a final cosmic curtain call that forever bound the two men in television folklore. The news of Morgan's death in 1998 had hit Kelly like a physical blow, a shock he later described in his memoir with raw, palpable grief. Quote, "It was as though someone had kneed me sharply in the stomach. I had never had such a sensation of shock before. Suddenly, so much of what one had taken for granted was no more." Reading those words and knowing their shared fate gives them a chilling new resonance. The anniversary of a friend's shocking death had become his own. Dermot Morgan's son, Don, captured the surreal nature of the event perfectly when he tweeted, "Isn't life just weird?" So now it's time to hear from you. What part of the incredible story resonates with you the most? Let us know in the comments section below.